everybody. Hello all. Yes. How are you all doing? Doing great? Yes, you enjoyed the poem yesterday. Right. So done with your other classes as well? Now it's English class, right? And your Vidya ma'am is ready. Are you all ready for the second module of our poem that we are doing? Are you all ready, guys? Which poem are we doing? Huh? Tell me, which poem are we doing? You all know the poem name, right? The name of the poem is The Solitary Reaper. Yes or no? The name of the poem is Solitary Reaper. Written by, who wrote the poem? William Wordsworth. Awesome. Very good. So, William Wordsworth is the poet. Okay. Do you remember the name of the friend? William Wordsworth's good friend. What is his name? I want answers. I am counting. 3, 2, 1. Good. I'm sure many of you must have guessed it right. Yes, it is S.T. Coleridge. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Well done. Okay. So, what are the other poems of William Wordsworth that we have discussed or you have learned in your earlier classes? I told you yesterday, the masterpiece, classic poem, right? What is it? Name of the poem? Other poem. Golden yellow. Yeah, flowers. What is it? Very good. It is daffodils. Very, very good. Well done. I'm sure you all remember all these things about Wordsworth. And one more thing about Wordsworth. I told you that he belongs to a particular period or age. And he's called something. What did I tell you? You remember? Come on, guess. He is known as a romantic poet, right? He belongs to the period of romantic age or romantic period. He, along with his friend S.T. Coleridge, has written number of poems on nature or related to nature, which are more spiritual, which are having greater meanings, hidden meanings, and they are definitely treasure to the world. You can easily understand this, right? Why they are treasure and they are so important. Yesterday while I was telling the period of Wordsworth I have mentioned. Do you remember the period of Wordsworth? Huh? From which time to which time? In page number 38, I told you he belongs to the age of 1770 to 1850. Now where are we? 2020. Till date, more than 250 years, if we are reading his poems, we remember his poems, then you can understand his capability, his amazing work that he has done, and he has given wealth and treasure to the entire world, to the mankind, right? Only few things are forever. Maybe he is also an eternal poet. I am calling him because 200 years still we remember and we praise him and we think that he is none other, he is not like anybody else. What does that mean? No doubt he is a great poet, right? Great is a very small word. Maybe some big superlative I have to use for Wordsworth. Very good. Okay. So Wordsworth is a romantic poet. He belongs, he is known as, he is very well known for his works on nature, and some of the best works of him are the Prelude, Lyrical Ballads, Daffodils, the solitary reaper, and many more, right? Okay, so in this particular poem, the solitary reaper, let's get to the actual poem that we have, the solitary reaper. The solitary reaper. Let me give you a quick recap of what we have done. So you all know the meaning of the solitary and reaper, right? We have discussed the meanings yesterday. Do you remember or not? Huh? The solitary and, yeah, here we have. Solitary is single or only. Reaper. Who is a reaper? Someone who cuts down crops. Like example, paddy or maize, like that. Corn or, all these. So somebody who cuts the crops are called reapers. Very good. So that is why. And how many are there? There's only one single reaper about whom we are talking in the poem, right? Solitary. And is it a boy or a girl? Huh? You remember? It's a young girl. How can you say this? Because he said that Highland lass, right? Lass meaning young girl, mostly unmarried. I mentioned this yesterday. Very good. Good. Then I also told you what is Highland. Highland means the mountain regions of Scotland. Yeah, I told you the setting of the poem is in Scotland. Okay. Now, I'll quickly read out the first two stanzas once again for you, so that you remember everything about the poem that we discussed yesterday. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary reaper, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Oh listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. I also sang the song, you remember? How did I sing? Behold her, like that I started, right? So he is telling to the reader, behold her, look, observe her, to whom single in the field, there is one person single in the field, and yon solitary lass, yon means there, solitary Highland lass, in the Scotland fields, young girl, reaping and singing by herself. She is doing her work and at the same time singing. Stop here or gently pass. So whoever it is, please, if you want to listen to the song, you be here. Otherwise, you move gently, but do not disturb. Don't make any noise. She may get disturbed and she may stop singing. He is worried, right? So, where is Wordsworth? Maybe he is at that point near that countryside and watching the girl and listening to the girl. Exactly, right? Yes. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. So alone she is cutting and binding. I told you they collect and bind it, right? Yeah. So alone she is doing the work, and at the same time, how was the song? Melancholy strain. It's a sad song. Okay, not a very happy and cheerful song that she is singing. Oh listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. So, oh listen, he is also again addressing somebody. Who is that somebody? It could be reader or it could be just someone passing by, right? Like that he is telling. What is he telling? Oh, for the vale profound, throughout the valley, her voice is echoing. We can hear only her voice is overflowing with this sound. The entire valley is overflowing. Means overflow. What is overflow? For a tumbler of water if you take, to the brim if you are taking, then it's is fine. Full glass of water we say. If you put more water, then the water overflows, right? Coming out of the brim. Like that, the voice is not just in the valley, it is actually reaching everywhere, wherever he can, to an extent that this man can listen to a kind of hyperbole, I told you, right? He's exaggerating because he's just mesmerized with the voice, right? And with the song. Now, we'll start the third stanza. Are the two stanzas clear, everybody? You all remember everything about the poem, the two stanzas, right? Okay, incredible. Now, let's move to the third stanza. No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to the weary brands of travelers in some shady haunt among the Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling never was heard before in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Okay, the next two stanzas. Okay, I'm still trying and improving my singing capacity. You all have to bear with me, right? You all should tell me how to sing and when we come and meet, if you know better than this. Fine. Okay. No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to the weary bands. Do you know what is a nightingale? Have you ever heard of a nightingale before? We all know nightingale. Yeah? So when you remember P.B. Shelley, he speaks about nightingale, ode to the nightingale. So nightingale has a higher, whenever an example of nightingale is taken, you should understand that the best of the best is taken as an example. So when you, for example, if there is cricket match, so we speak about Kapil Dev, we speak about Sachin Tendulkar, we speak about Virat Kohli, Dhoni, right? Why not about all others? Are they not good players? They are all good players. But out of all, these are the best, right? Likewise, in the birds, nightingale is definitely seen in a very superlative or highest order, right? That is why when Wordsworth is saying something, when he is comparing, when he is bringing nightingale into the poem, we should understand the interpretation, his idea, why did he bring it here and what he has to say about nightingale here. Let's read the line once again. No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to the weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. So, he is giving something that is unbelievable to us. What is he saying? Nightingale is the best, is having the best voice and is the best bird. But then Wordsworth says that this particular song of solitary reaper is so soothing, okay, to whom he is mentioning somebody here, not like previous stanzas. He is particularly telling about a group of people. Who are those? Weary bands of travelers. What is weary meaning? Do you know? First, let us try and understand the surface level of what is there on the in the words. If we understand, then we'll go for the interpretations. Fine, right? So, what is weary meaning? Tired, very tired. Okay. So, somebody who is tired is referred to as weary. Bands means group of people. Okay. Weary bands of whom? Of travelers. Okay. Where are these travelers that he is speaking about? Of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. What are Arabian sands? What is Arabia famous for? Can anybody tell me? You all are in 8th grade, so you know geography very well, right? Arabian sands, sand itself says it's a desert. Arabia is known for its longest and the biggest deserts, right? So these people are there, and he uses a word like shady haunt of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. Where do you get shade in the desert? Is there any possibility? To the extent that I can reach, you only find sand and sand and sand, right? If you find something else other than sand, what is that place in the desert called? Can anybody guess? Come on, guesses. Right. You all are awesome. I know, my dearest children, my dearest students. Good. Oasis, right? So even in the shady oasis, if these people are taking some rest maybe, and the nightingale is singing for them. Okay, let's imagine. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to the weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. So usually whenever they go, these travelers, they go, and that oasis helps them, helps them to take some rest. At that time, nightingale's voice is a very hearty welcome to these travelers. But now, what is Wordsworth saying? This particular solitary reaper's song is much more better, much higher, greater, or the best. He is trying to say. No, he's comparing the solitary reaper with that of a very beautiful, melodious voice, which has a melodious voice, who the nightingale compares. It's a metaphor. Okay, you all know when comparison takes between two, we call it as metaphor, right? The girl is compared to a bird here, right? And that to nightingale. So he says she has better voice than her. This song at that moment for him is creating a kind of effect that he has never seen before or had before, right? Okay, let's go to the 4th stanza. Right? This is clear? No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to the weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. Till then, it's clear, right? Okay, next stanza. A voice so thrilling never was heard in the springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. The next stanza is even more surprising. What he says, William Wordsworth says that a voice so thrilling never was heard. So till then he has never heard such voice, and which is very thrilling to him. He is also surprised, mesmerized, and in a very different state of mind. Okay. In springtime from the cuckoo bird. So how does a cuckoo bird sing, and when does it sing? Now it is spring season, right? The April month in India, it's spring season, right? You all know that. You all are nowadays getting up to this beautiful bird's sound. Cuckoo bird, you all know. How does it sing? Coo-oo, coo-oo. Yes, it says, all the children love cuckoo bird's voice, right? Now he says, in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. So again he is drawing the comparison. Cuckoo bird comes only in the spring season. Nightingale will be heard in a different season. Voice will be heard in a different season. I'll put pictures at the end of my video. Do watch them. Okay, these two bird pictures. Those of you who do not know them. Fine. So how is this bird in the spring? I mean, it comes once in a year and we all get to hear this bird's voice, which is so melodious. Now again he is drawing the comparison between the girl's song and to that of cuckoo bird. Now how is it? Now it again exaggeration, hyperbole. He says that breaking the silence of seas. How are the seas? They make noise. Do they make noise? The waves, the currents, right? All these things, they make noise or not? They don't make noise. Sea is very plain. Okay, sea is very plain, right? So yes or no? Okay, so now this voice is breaking that silence of the sea. Okay, even the sea is disturbed in a very pleasant way with the voice of the solitary reaper among the farthest of Hebrides. What do you mean by Hebrides? Hebrides means a place and a group of islands in the Scotland. There is a place called Hebrides very near to the field where the girl is working. So there is a sea nearby. Island means covered by water, right? All sides covered by water. So this can even break the silence. The voice of the a girl can even break the silence of the sea. What a comparison he is drawing. How beautifully he is telling about this voice. We all want to hear such a beautiful song, right? So what kind of effect that the girl's song has put in the mind of William Wordsworth? See and observe, right? We'll stop here. I'll just quickly give a revision for the last two stanzas which I have taken in this particular session. This poem takes maybe 4 modules because it's a lengthy poem and there's a lot to say. Okay, right. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to the weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Okay, I will. So with this 2 stanzas, I will stop the module. But before I leave, you all know I'll be giving some vocabulary and homework, right? One more thing I want to add to what I have just now told. We are only looking first to understand what is written in the poem. Poets like Wordsworth, Coleridge. Coleridge cannot be compared with Wordsworth. Wordsworth is even more higher. Okay, Shelley. These people always have a different level of their different level. So what we understand is very less and what they mean is some 100 times more than that. So as grade 8 students, you do not need such greater interpretations and all of that, but still we'll look into the other kinds of interpretations as well at the end of the last module. I'll even give you those. But if we understand at the surface itself, we feel mesmerized, we feel really we'll be in an awe for whatever the poet is trying to say. I hope you all enjoyed the video, right? I hope you all enjoyed the 2 stanzas. I really hope so. Now let us see the meanings that have come in this particular, words that have come in this particular thing. So weary bands, I told you, right? Weary refers to those individuals who have embarked on arduous journey through the Scottish countryside. Okay, second, shady haunt refer to the oasis in the desert. Then Hebrides, a group of islands near Scotland. Some of these words are already there in the text. I'm just giving one more time because maybe you may have text with you right now or you may not have. right? So we'll try and understand more about the poem in the next module. What is your homework today? I'll give you a homework which is not in the book, not in anything, but you have to search online today for some time. Don't take whole lot of time to do this work, because just take half an hour time and do some research on figures of speech. Okay, poetic devices or figures of speech, which are already introduced to you in the grade 7. You also know what is a metaphor, simile and all of this. But try finding out more information about that. If you come little prepared, it will be good for us when we do the poem. And again I will be explaining the whole thing. Fine. Your homework today is to know information about figures of speech in English. Okay, which are also called as poetic devices. Fine, students. Have a great day.